Warning, the following 8-bit month-starting Alpha New Game Plus Anniversary Flick is for mature as well as immature audiences as well. Viewer discretions have been advised. The following footage takes place approximately 5 hours after this week's Music Village. Man, this weekend, 9 years of a show that I was able to Spider-Man costume create over a winter break is finally going to be 9 years old. I said years twice in a sentence, but I still can't believe it. This is insane. And it shows that even the smallest ideas can become so big, despite it being in such a small room with arcade machines. Oh, wait, I got a note here from Carl and the Maestro. Hold on. Wondering where they went. All right. Dear DJ Smokey, congratulations on 9 years. We whipped you up something special to kick off the show. All you have to do is push that button on the left and just switch the feed. P.S. We might do it for you, because we know you won't. What do you mean I won't hit the button on the left? Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, live from Morristown, New Jersey, it is the Level 214 New Game Plus Alpha Anniversary Edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. And now here's your anniversary game show host from the East Coast himself, a man who is full of surprises even though he doesn't realize it's coming, DJ Smokey. Hey, I seriously didn't see this one coming, first of all, and secondly, not half bad. I like it. But most importantly, welcome to the Indy Radio Arcade Level 214 New Game Plus Alpha Anniversary Edition. I am your anniversary game show host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey. And we've got plenty of that anniversary 8-bit goodness to kick off your new year on the right foot. Especially for the year of the fist, too. Because we kick things off with a very special video game movie Van Damme edition of the 9MR. And according to Carl and the Maestro, this one packs a punch. Nice. Next up on the plate, we go into a very special handheld super-powered edition of the Instant Classic video game review. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, they dug this one out from my collection. So it should be a good one. Also, besides that, and speaking of digging things from out of a collection, we go into a very special Marquis de Kingsbury Rules edition of the King Royale's video game stories. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, there might be some anti-gravity shenanigans for that one. Nice! Then we put your high scores on high display with a couple of indie games along the way for another edition of the Indie Wall of Fame. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before Carl and the Maestro sets off the confetti, we wrap up the show yet another edition of the $64,000 question. And according to Carl and the Maestro, it comes in a silver envelope and it's worth a hell of a lot more than that. Yikes. Well, we'll find out how much it's worth when we get there. And I guess we're calling the maestro rolling the machines. I might as well tell everybody at home to get out their pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, Albanian money, or whatever sort of coins you believe that can help you celebrate an anniversary like no other. To get ready to play a very special 8-bit 9-year Alpha Anniversary Year of the Fist Kickoff Edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. It's time to play the game, kids. All right, all you moviegoers out there, welcome back to the Alpha Anniversary Edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into a very special 10-film reel edition of the newly named and critically acclaimed edition of the 9-year MR. And to celebrate 9 years of the Indy Radio Arcade, we decided to go with a very special film from the 90s. None other than the 1994 film from Jean-Claude Van Damme's closet. None other than Street Fighter. And Carla the Maestro said I could have told you that was going to be it, but no, I didn't want the surprise to be spoiled at all. And the meat and potatoes for this said film would see none other than Guile, a man who would try to go after Bison, who after he would ask for well over $20 million in exchange to 36 hostages for Guile to promise to, beat him up. And that's the easiest way to say that he was going to kick his ass. But outside of that, folks, what did I love about this said film? Well, for one, this would be, and I know a lot of people are going to moan and groan at home about this one, but this would be one of my first real introductions to the world of Street Fighter. Growing up as a kid, I only know several people who played Street Fighter, and I wouldn't hear about it till this. And would actually go look it up in the arcades, because we would be a household that would play, I do believe it was Marvel Nemesis or Marvel vs. Capcom, so I've never heard of Street Fighter until this said film. But I always used to hear about the Hadoukens back in the day and didn't know it was linked to. Another thing that I loved about this film, and definitely right off the top would have to be the actors featured during it. And one of them being none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jean-Claude Van Damme, who would play none other than Colonel Guile in this said film. But outside of playing him, he would also play Alex in Double Impact, even Jack Quinn in Double Team, a lot of doubles for him, but also would be known as Kurt Sloan in Kickboxer in '89, Sam Gillen in Nowhere to Run in '93, and as of recent, Philip in Kill 'Em All 2. Nice! And Carla the Maestro would say that you forgot to mention that this man played Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat game of Mortal Kombat 1. And, before I forget, was also Richard Romero in The Last Mercenary, which we will watch in the near future. Now, the next man I would like to talk about, and somebody they dedicated the film to, would be the man who would play M. Bison himself, none other than Raul Julia. Now, the sad thing about this film, folks, is that Raul Julia would not see it to completion. Because unfortunately, 2 months before the film's release, he would unfortunately have a stroke and pass away due to said stroke. But would definitely be the best role in my mind of playing Bison for this said film. But outside of playing Bison's folks, he would also be responsible for none other than Thomas Ramirez and Down Came a Bird in 95, even seeing him as none other than Chico Mendes in The Burning Season, the Chico Mendes story, Gomez Adams in the Addams Family live-action films back in the 90s. I was going to say in 91 and then in 93, but yeah, in the 90s. And would even be responsible for not only Cottard in The Plague, and of course, playing none other than Arturo Duran in Havana, just to name a few. Next up on the plate, you would have none other than Ming-Na Wen, who would play none other than Chun-Li in this said film, A Street Fighter, but would also be responsible for Mulan in the 1998 film of Mulan. Even would play none other than Melinda May in 136 episodes of The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even would play none other than Dr. Aki Ross in Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. Nice! And oh, before I forget, she was also Eva Tong in Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft for 1 episode. Then you have none other than Damien Chapa, who would play none other than Ken Masters. Yep, Ken Masters in this said film, folks, A Street Fighter, but would also be none other than Miklo in Blood Out, the Tac Man in Under Siege in 92, and would even play none other than Brando Unauthorized as Marlon Brando. Not bad. Next up on the plate, folks, you would have none other than Kylie Minogue? Carl and Mike shall say, go with the second one, who would play none other than Cammy in Street Fighter, even the Green Fairy in the 2001 film of Moulin Rouge, and would also be a part of the project for 31 episodes, as well as being a part of the TV show of Neighbors as Charlene Mitchell. Thank you for the correction, Carl and Maestro, for 346 episodes. Yikes! Next on the plate, you have none other than Simon Callow, who would play the AN director during this said film, or according to Carl and Maestro, the AN official. But outside of playing the AN official, we would also see this man play as not only Tinsley, Master of Rebels in Shakespeare in Love, Gareth in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, even Andre in The Phantom of the Opera, and even the Reverend Mr. Baby in none other than A Room with a View. And according to Carl and the Maestro, he would also play Armand III in the miniseries for Hawkeye in 2021. Not bad. Next up on the plate, you have none other than Byron Mann, who would not only in Street Fighter play, and according to Carl and the Maestro, he would play none other than Ryu during this said film, but would also be responsible for playing none other than Mr. Chow in The Big Short in 2015, Inspector Wu in 2018 for the movie Skyscraper featuring The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson for those who don't know him as The Rock, and would also play as Uncle Six in Wu Assassins for 9 episodes, as well as playing OG Kovacs in Altered Carbon for 3 episodes. Not bad. Next up on the plate, you would have, and I did not know this guy played the role, but Rashan Seth, who would play none other than Dhalsim in the Street Fighter film, who didn't have any of his Dhalsim powers, which confused me. But either way you look at it, folks, outside of playing Dhalsim, he would also play none other than Pandit Nehru in Gandhi, as well as playing Chatterlal in the said film of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, as well as playing, according to Carl and the Maestro, Professor Banahardi, hopefully we said that name right, featured in the movie Proof in 2005. Not bad. Then you have none other than Andrew Byronensky. And I know I butchered his last name to all hell, but boy, oh boy, this guy would play none other than Zangief in the film of Street Fighter, as well as playing Butterfingers in Hudson Hawk, featuring none other than Bruce Willis in that said film. Would also play Leatherface in the 2003 version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even playing Patrick Madman Kelly in Any Given Sunday. And before I forget, was also a part of none other than Ice Nine Kills music video of Welcome to Horrorwood as the chainsaw-wielding stranger, and would revise his role in the said remake of it in 2024. Not bad. Next up, you have none other than Grant L. Bush, who would not only play none other than Balrog featured during this said film, but would also play none other than Hawkins in License to Kill in '89, even Little Johnson in 1988's version of Die Hard, and would also be Sergeant Atkins in The Exorcist III Legion in 1990. I keep forgetting they kept making sequels to that film. Why? I don't know. Then you have none other than the man who I knew from so many different comedies, none other than Miguel A. Nunez Jr., who would not only play as DJ during this said film of Street Fighter, but would also be featured in, if I remember correctly, none other than the 2002 live-action film of Scooby-Doo as the Voodoo Maestro, even featured as Spider in The Return of the Living Dead in '85, and was even featured as Tommy Reddick in 3 episodes of Nashville, as well as being a part of The Family Business as Harris Grant for 42 episodes. And if I remember correctly, I do believe it was also featured during a show on BET, which I think was called Suits, or Lawyers. I can't remember the name of the show correctly, but was featured as one of the lawyers during the said show too. Not bad. And finally, last but not least, since Carl and the Maestro said we can't be here all night, we have none other than Greg Rainwater, who would not only be T-Hawk featured in Street Fighter, but would also be Tai Longshadow featured in 3 episodes of Young Justice, the Coyote Trickster in 2 episodes of Gargoyles, even none other than Running Buck Cross in 67 episodes of The Young Riders. Bad. And Carl and the Maestro said, you might as well get one out since it's the anniversary, so none other than Jay Tavar. And he would play as none other than Vega during the live-action version of Street Fighter, as well as playing none other than the Chief Prairie Fire in Into the West for 1 episode, as well as playing none other than a swimmer in Cold Mountain in 2003, and finally, Matthew in the said film of Adaptation in 2002. Now, one of my favorite scenes featured during this film, and no, Carl and the Maestro, it had nothing to do with Blanca being featured in this film, and of course, none other than E. Honda being played as Peter during this film, which I keep getting his last name wrong. That's the reason why we didn't mention it. But my favorite part of the film would have to be when they were going to bring up Blanca to try to take out the enemy forces, only to reveal Jean-Claude Van Damme doing a straight flying kick right to the chest of Blanca, or more or less to the chest of none other than than Bison. And the reason why I got that wrong, folks, because I was laughing thinking about the kick in my head, because imagine a guy inside of a giant oversized pod, coming out of the pod with smoke all around him, leaping through the air going, "Arr!" Bam, and kicking somebody in the chest. You'll You'll find it real hard to keep your laughter in after all that. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review films along the lines of Siskel and Ebert or any of those other famous film reviewers that you know of out there, we say this. If you guys want to go ahead and watch a film that brings a video game to life or gives you a new experience into the world of Street Fighter with a whole bunch of kicks, punches, explosions, and awesome music along the way, then I recommend you go out there and watch that flick. And trust me, folks, I think if you go into it without thinking that it's actually Street Fighter, you'll definitely enjoy it like I did. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music, and when we return, we'll be back with more of the Indy Radio Arcade right after a word from our sponsors. So don't hit pause on those controllers just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you handheld Z-Fighters out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into a very special edition of the Instant Classic Video Game Review, and the game we have up on the plate to celebrate our 9-year anniversary would be none other than, and Carl and the Maestro taking it out of the box, oh, that's nice, none other than Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku. And the meat and potatoes for this said game would feature you as Goku going through the Z trilogy of his life. And that meaning going through not only, I do believe, Vegeta, the Ginyu Force, as well as Frieza himself. Yeah, best way to explain it. And with that being said, folks, what did I like about this game? Well, for one, the fact that it's an RPG version of Dragon Ball Z is absolutely awesome. Not only that, but the fact of the cool music and the story that went along with it as well was pretty cool to see. And another thing that I loved about this game would have to be the fact that after you beat it, yes folks, there is New Game Plus for this game, and when we get to the next part, you're gonna find out the reason why I love this so much. And with everything that I liked about this game, including a couple of cool attacks, what did I like about this game? Well, the attacks. And the reason why I say that, folks, is because first off, the only attacks you can really learn in this game outside of the said High Blast as well as the Kamehameha, but that's towards the end of the game, would have to be the fact that the only other attack that you can learn in this game, according to Carl and the Maestro, would have to be the Solar Flare. And those are the only attacks you can learn. But at the same time, if you're able to time it good enough, especially with the High Blast or the Solar Flare, you can actually take out several of the bosses in this game with little to no problems. Another thing that I didn't like about this game would have to be the enemy damage that was featured during it. Now, the reason why I say that, folks, is because for anybody who played the first half of this game and had to go through the forest and fight things like wolves or dinosaurs, yes, there are dinosaurs you have to fight in this game, they can take you out very easily with little to no problems compared to the blast that you try to do to them, which is kind of sad, really is. And with everything that we didn't like about this game and liked about this game, what do we think they could do to improve upon it? Well, One thing I would have to say, outside of having a couple of the Z Fighters coming out to help you during some of the battles in this game, even though it's focused around Goku, would have been nice. Also, another thing that I wish they could add upon this game would be a couple of more attacks. Because for those who don't know, Goku used Kaioken when he was fighting against Frieza, so I'm surprised he wasn't able to use that in this game. Which is really surprising, but at the same time, Carl and the Maestro said it is a handheld game and there's only so much room in it that they can add for attacks. Alright? Well, I was really hoping for that attack to be added, because that's Goku's bread and butter. And another thing that I wish they could add into this game for New Game Plus, an ability for you to actually travel around in Super Saiyan mode. Now, Carl and the Maestro said that would make this character overpowered, but at the same time, if you're able to unlock it, you should be able to use it. But according to Carl and the Maestro, once again, that'll make you very overpowered, so no, don't do that. I'm still asking for it. I don't care what you say. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review games along the lines of gold, stars, coins, letters, and bricks, we review games in only two ways around here, folks. Will there be a video game story in the near future for this said game? And do we recommend this game for you, the Z Fighting handheld fan at home? Well, to answer both of those questions, for the first one, yes, there will be a video game story for this said game, and as a matter of fact, as of the 250th episode of Music Village, a part of the Year of the Fist, we will feature a video game story for this game. And it does involve those pesky wolves getting their comeuppance in the most satisfying ways known possible. And do I recommend this game for you, the handheld Z Fighting fan at home? Well, if you want to play a game that's on a Game Boy Advance that allows you to live the legacy of Goku and all of the blasts, fighting, and different forms of characters and people you run into that try to bring peace to the earth in the best way you know how, as probably one of the most legendary Z Fighters known to man, with no backup whatsoever, then I recommend you go out there and cop that disc. And according to Carl and the Maestro, the sequel, a little bit better, but at the same time, yeah, give this one a try too. It's fun. And I guess with that said, folks, we might as well head back to that music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with a very special edition of the King's Royale True Video Game Stories, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't hit pause on those controllers just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you regal gamers out there, welcome to yet another Marquis de Kingsbury Rules edition of the King's Royale Video Game Stories. And with a title like that, we unravel the pages to another royal story from King from the video game of My Hero Ultra Rumble. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to throw it over to the king himself and find out what sort of royal thrashing he's got up his sleeves this time as he gets ready to paint the royal picture.
In my hero, I was playing in this one area at the destruction area. So it was me, Nachako, and Nejire. In case you don't know what Nejire is, it's a woman that does energy loops that apparently that comes to contact with it, and it does a lot of damage. I'll say that even Adrian will point it out and tell you that she is worse than Hawks. So while everything was happening, it was there was an All Might going after one of my teammates, and I killed him while he was by himself. I was leveling up my alpha ability, try to grab some health and cards, to level up, and join do some battles. I killed some. I would say I killed another team, just one, because she was by herself, while the others were stalling the other team. Both my teams died, and I quickly grabbed their cards, and I couldn't get the rival card because once I opened this box, I was inside the zone. Apparently, she just went down and swooped it up because I had to get out to heal myself, and plus my inventory was kind of full. So I went to go to this other area to get myself another rival card. Once I went over there, and I jumped off the building, apparently, and I tried to go and try to find him, but he managed to pick it up and managed to revive his teammate. Just one. Thank goodness he did. Revive just only one, because if there was two, they would all jump me. Even if they did, I had all my beta and alpha on 9 and 6. So once he managed to revive his teammate, I managed to kill his teammate, which he was stuck because there was no way down to the bottom floor. So once I killed him, I was trying to look for his other teammate that revived him. Apparently, he got killed by another enemy team, and I had to deal with this other team that apparently killed him. I managed to kill him, and that's when this one character named Helga came by. And apparently, she was doing a lot of damage at me. I had to leave, letting her take the items and everything. Once I did, I was healing myself up, and once I did, another team came by and came around the corner, and luckily I managed to heal my way out of there. And once I try to fight him my way through, I fell out of the building and fell down. But I would say when I was, throwing some pop shots of my abilities at random players, the same people that killed my teammates, they were around this area where I was in, and I was ready to avenge my teammates. So while they were too busy fighting with other enemy teams, I just came in, want to intervene, giving them a lot of damage to the point I can, take my revenge. So, a character, Nejire Hado, that's the one that killed my teammates, one of them, she tried to fly away because she was being a little bit greedy, try to hide and try to heal herself up. She was trying to run away, but when I flew up, I just grabbed her, pulled her straight down to the floor, threw my decay of rocks at her, and I managed to kill one. Now they were down to 2. While I was fighting one of them, this one character named YearMR, basically a character that does creations, she had this running right shield, and she kept on deflecting my attacks when I was trying to hit her teammate. But lucky for her, she was gonna get that same treatment like the rest of her that her one teammate had. And so she kept on giving me, heavy hits, and I kept on flying away trying to heal myself up. And I would say during this one, I kept on losing a lot of armor and health, but I managed to gather some health and items to heal myself up, which was crazy how I managed to survive some areas. Because every time I kept running out the zone, I'm losing more health, and I keep telling myself, I need to stop running out the zone, because if I keep doing this, I'm gonna die. So I managed to kill, the YearMR that killed my teammates. But for some reason, the person that I managed to kill, I didn't kill, basically was Ochako. He managed to, gave me a lot of heavy hits, and I managed to get away. But I know she was gonna revive her teammate, because I know I'm gonna meet them sooner than later. So once I was inside the high school, I was healing myself up, and apparently I ran into another player that had my abilities. So while I was healing my health and then healing my shields, I went up and I managed to kill the Shigaraki that apparently, that I don't have to deal with later on. And once I did, a Midoriya came by and I managed to kill him. Once I managed to kill him out of that one area, I managed to get out the building. And another way I had to get out of the building, because if I go downstairs where the high school is, I would have probably been pinned where his ability is, because apparently one of his abilities that apparently drops an area of rocks, because I forgot what that ability does, but I already told you what it is. So once I was heating myself up, apparently I saw the person that apparently I saw the person that Achaka revived. Apparently I saw her still alive. So when I flew upwards and I accidentally flew outwards, I kept telling myself I need to stop going out again. So I lost more health and I have to waste another healing item I have to waste again. So I was climbing up in this building, drinking myself my shield. And that's when it was against 2-on-1 against another enemy team, including me as well. So I was just giving pop shots to one of these enemies teams. Some people don't understand what the heck I'm saying pop shots. I'm just saying I'm just giving damage to them or hitting them with my abilities. It was me to the other teams, and it was Toga that apparently she got knocked from the other team I was going after. And once this other enemy team killed the person that was down, it was me against these two teams that killed my teammates. So I managed to knock down, Yadarozu, who does creations. I was trying to look for her because I knocked her, and when I saw her, I got rid of her. And that was just a 1v1 between me and Ochako. Basically, how agents say it, Gravity Girl. And once I was, what's funny, before I continue, it's funny that Agent gives these characters that I know some of their names, he gives them random names. For Ochako, he called her Gravity Girl. This dude that could face through walls, he called him Popular the Sailor Man, because Agent said he kind of looks like him.
I mean, if you look at the character's eyes, it does look like Popeye the Sailor Man's eyes from the classic cartoon.
Yeah. And he called All for One, Darth Vader, you said?
Yeah, Darth Vader. Originally I was gonna call him Bane, but the mask was a little bit too big for his head, so hey.
Yeah, and he called Aizawa, substitute teacher. That gets me laughing every time.
Because he does look like a substitute teacher. Look at him. Look at the way the tie looked, the scruffy beard, the long hair, the fact that he might have another job after that one. Yeah, that's definitely a substitute teacher.
He has another job after that one.
That's the dream. To be the teacher is the dream, but the real job is what's got him with the 5 o'clock shadow. That's not his full-time job. He's a substitute teacher. I mean, no tenure, no levity in the school system just yet. You'll get there one day. You'll get there.
And Agent called Froppy, even though it's Suyu, he called her, Frog Girl.
Yeah, that or Kermit the Frog, who keeps leaping in and out of, well, King will tell you better than I will, but from what I've seen, the ability to cloak herself in combat and use her tongue to leap to tall buildings.
Or she can use her tongues to attack other players.
Well, that too.
But Agent, he only just uses her cloaking to get in and out to revive us, which a lot of players kept getting pissed at him for doing that.
Well, yeah, I've been killed several times for that. Several.
Yep. And Agent, the only thing I will say Agent is really good at in My Hero Rumble is Endeavor and Aizawa, including Froppy sometimes. Agent called Endeavor Iron Man because apparently he does this one move. I didn't even know it. It's called a prominent burn, and he just shoots like how Iron Man shoots when he uses plasma blasters from his chest.
Yeah, I forgot. I think it was called the Omega Beam at one point too, back in the original Marvel vs. Capcom games. But actually, no. It was the Omega Beam. I think it was the Photon Cannon. Then it became the Photon Beam that he used to do, and that's what I think they called it in Marvel Nemesis. Yeah, Marvel Nemesis. They called it that.
Yeah, and every time Agent uses that ability, all I hear him saying is, "I am Iron Man."
It's a heavy blast. I got lost in 90s cartoons, so sue me.
Dial the number. I'm playing it. But either way. I'm kidding. So, back to where I was. Once I was, fighting this enemy, just me and her fighting, I kept waiting for my plus chaos to come back, so I can, have my armor right back up and plus do more damage. Once I managed to, she hit me to the point I lost half my armor and health because she was trying to do a combo move on me. So I managed to knock her down and managed to finish the fight. And I would say wholesome because when my teammates, they didn't laugh. They actually watched the entire match when I was trying my best to bring them back, but I couldn't. So they applaud me, with the clap emote, to congratulate me that I managed to beat a whole set of people by myself.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps it up for yet another Soul Survivor Marquis de Kingsbury Rules edition of the King's Royale video game story. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back into those musical tunes. And when we return, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned. Right, all you kings and queens and leaderboards out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And three things, folks. First off, the outfit that Guile wore during Street Fighter, we're currently wearing right now for the show, and said, hey, I really did manage to get it after all these years, because I wanted that outfit since I was a kid. Secondly, the alpha for the anniversary, we decided to go with that, and I got a feeling next year might be Delta. And on top of all of that, for that King Royale story, I got a feeling me and King is going to be featured in a video game story before the end of this month. Again. So yeah, get prepared for that one because it's going to be a good one. But besides revealing cool video game stories that will take place in the near future and cool outfits that I'll be wearing during them, I think it's time for us to go ahead and put your high scores on high display, along with some cool games from the Steam Machine along the way, for a very special Alpha Anniversary edition of the Indy Wall of Fame. And the first game that we have up comes from the developers Yuzu Games with their set game of Blacksmith Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say it reminds me of a what-if scenario if you were a blacksmith before any of the cool stories where people needed swords, I guess some form of halberd, or any form of weapon you could think of. So I was thinking, the 13th warrior, a knight's tale, and maybe a knight in King Arthur court. just to round it up, is what I think this game reminds me of. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to get your own, I guess, house or place where you can forge these said weapons, but also a chance for you to have a wonderful assistant to help you along the way. And according to Carl and the Maestro, no assistant, and you have to go down in the mines to get your own resources. Okay, I can work with that. As long as I get a chance to ride the mine cart, I'm all in. But besides riding in a mine cart to craft the perfect sword, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Yakuza Hagen, Arcade. We'll go with the second one just in case with their set game of the platform run. And this game automatically reminds me of the most extreme elimination challenge with a little hit of Fall Guys in there as well too. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to play alongside with your friends, but also a chance for you to design your own course and upload it online, just to see if people can clear it. And why? Because I got a feeling you indie gamers out there would come up with something so outrageous, it'll definitely make the Captain Tennille blush. And the next game that we have up that hopefully doesn't see you getting eliminated comes from the developers Stoneware Game Studios with their set game of Take Notes. And this game automatically reminds me of the movie Escape Room. Yep, definitely reminds me of that. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that you can play this alongside with your friends to try to help you get through this said escape room that you're currently in. That hopefully doesn't lead to your death if you're not able to solve it in enough time. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, you have to stop the unthinkable, so I think death is the one thing you have to stop. Alright, well, hopefully you can help me with that. And they're waving their hands saying no because you might get sucked into the game. Of course, just like Jumanji. But besides the Jumanji scenario I might have painted for myself, folks, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Falafel Games. Nice developer name, by the way, with their set game of Game Stonk Simulator. And this game, Game Stonk, I already know what they're trying to imitate, but this game automatically reminds me of the store they're trying to talk about, which is obviously GameStop. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that the retail price for the games is the same as what you traded in for. Is the only hope I have for this game, because I got a feeling if it's anything like GameStop, you might leave with a couple of angry customers. I'll just say that much. Oh, and Carl and Maishel's hoping for one of those midnight release festivals. Yeah, the midnight release festivals, not the midlight. Oh, midlight, because you'll have a light in there to shine on the games that are on sale for the midnight release. Oh, all right. And also, here's hoping a chance for you to upgrade the store, too. But besides trying to run your own Game Stonk store, folks, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Fonderland Studios with their set game of Battle Balls. And this game is a what-if scenario if they ever decided to create gang beats using balls. And a little hint of Marble Madness in there as well, too. Now, here's hoping in the near future that not only you get a chance to design your own ball to get into combat, but also a chance for the stage to be environmental. And with the fact that I see one of them with a monorail or a subway train about to run over one of the balls, I got a feeling I got an answer for my question. And according to Carl and the Maestro, you can design your own ball, but at the same time, as long as it's not a cat-eye marble. Is it because you hate cat's eye marbles? Oh, because you lost one in the sewer. Right. I can understand. But besides the past trauma of Carl and the Maestro over in the corner losing their collection of marbles during a game of marbles next to a storm drain, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Whale Games with their set game of the Paranormal Night Shift. And this game automatically reminds me of Paranormal Activity. And the reason why I say that, folks, is because there's some creepy girl looking at the camera, and I'm pretty sure she twitched before I switched the cameras over to another picture that they had up. And Carl and Michael said that he saw it too. Right. So, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that you have a way to try to stop the ghost from taking you out. Because I already know how this is going to end. I really do. But besides trying to prevent yourself being taken out by Markland Beast, folks, the next game that we have up comes from the developers VTEM with their set game of the Trick Shot Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Dude Perfect, but with a little hint of, I would have to say, Pee Wee Herman and his Rube Goldberg machines. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to design your own trick shot to upload online to your friends to see if they can pull it off. And Carl and the Maestro said, what would I design? Well, it'll be something very complicated along the lines of what Pee Wee Herman had, with the exception of a giant windmill and maybe a giant oversized frying pan and a slingshot. I'll leave it to you at home to figure out what in the world I'm going to try to build, because according to Carl and the Maestro, I've lost my mind. But besides a contraption that I got a feeling that only the weak or brave can be able to actually pull off, and Carl and the Maestro said, don't you mean the strong and the brave? No, the weak and the brave, because I got a feeling you might not need much strength to pull it off. But either way you look at it, folks, next game we have up comes from the developers Jimbo West Coast with their set game of Mega City Parkour. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Jet Set Radio 1 and a little hint of Mirror's Edge in there as well too. And according to Carl and the Maestro, Aeon Flux. Oh, I see it in there too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a grappling hook to help you traverse the city streets, and Carl and the Maestro saying that's unfair, but at the same time with you swinging on a rope like Tarzan, yeah, all bets are off. So here's hoping for a grappling hook in the near future to help you just in case you're about to hit the city streets the hard way. And the last but certainly not least game that we have up for this week comes from the developers Glumpus Games with their set game of the Pizza Blitz. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of, I would have to say, Grand Theft Auto with a what-if scenario if you ran your own pizza shop in Liberty City. And according to Carl and the Maestro, yep. And the fact that you have to evade motor strikes from taking you out during pizza deliveries, the only thing I'm hoping for in the near future is a car that can withstand a motor strike. Or, you know, a chance for you to upgrade your car with the pizza money you're getting. And hopefully you get a tip, because if you're trying to outrun motor strikes, you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And with that said, folks, we now make our way on over to the Twitterverse to check out some cool high scores from Twin Galaxies. And the first high score that we have up comes from Rage NYC with their said high score of 30,780, a part of the Sega Saturn game of Night. Next game that we have up comes from none other, or high score. Thank you for the correction, Carl and the Maestro. The next high score that we have up comes from Jason V91 with their said high score of 296,575, a part of the Atari's game of Black Widow. Next high score after that comes from none other than Gematron. Nice name, by the way, with his said high score of 1,000,000, 548,700, a part of the said game of R-Type. Next high score that we have up after that comes from none other than Chad Breivik with their said high score of, and get this folks, 9,047,960, a part of the NES game of, and apparently according to Colin the Maestro, Firefight. Alright? And the next high score that we have up after that comes from none other, and according to Colin the Maestro, from Sam McNear with their said high score of 309,290, a part of the classic game of Space Duel. Not bad. And the last, according to Colin the Maestro, we still got a couple more high scores coming down the tubes. And the next high score that we have up comes from Zoili Adala. Nice name, by the way, with their said high score of well over level 13, a part of the said game of Free Flow for the iOS. Next high score that we have up comes from Big Friendly with their said high score of 114,000, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Pitfall. Next high score that we have up after that comes from none other than Michael Kellner with their said high score of 296,000, a part of the Japanese version of R-Type 2. And the last but certainly not least high score that we have up to kick off this year of the fist and our anniversary comes from none other than Wire the Man with their said high score of 343,300, a part of the Nintendo game of 1942. And if you guys and gals want to go ahead and check out any other cool high scores that are still coming through the Twitterverse or even the interwebs as we speak, then you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as Twin Galaxies to check out those cool high scores and even submit a couple of your own and win cool prizes for your high scores. And have them mentioned during this show too, which is always a fair trade. It really is. It really is. And the high score to kick off this month or year of the fist comes from none other than Chad Breivik with their said high score from the said game of Firefight of well over 9,047,960. You guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming through the Steam Machine via the cargo ship, cargo plane, or even subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes, then you can go ahead and head on over to the store.steampower page, only known as store.steampower.com, and click ever so lightly on that upcoming button, and even clicking on that indie button as well to check out a whole bunch of cool games that it hits about as hard as a roundhouse kick from Jean-Claude Van Damme himself. And if you don't believe me, the second you play one of them and feel a pain across your jaw, that's the reason why, because it packs a punch and a kick. Yeah, really does. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with the very special $961,000 question for this week, after a word from our sponsors. So don't skip out on that bonus round just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you street fighting champions out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into a very special edition of the $961,000 question. And before we go into this week's Mega Money Challenge, we go into last week's question, where we asked you for upwards of $128,000, and this comes from Jolly Old Saint Nick, so don't blame me. Would you turn your neighborhood into a Rube Goldberg device with a Pee Wee Herman suit and do a front flip, shot-for-shot style from the big holiday movie of Pee Wee Herman, all before New Year's Eve? And several of you out there, even though I said Santa was behind it, would immediately blame me by saying the following: "Are you insane? This has you written all over it." Another person would say, "Shame on you for blaming Santa for such a crazy thing." And another person would go on to say, "Where do we even find all the rubber bands and items for this challenge?" Only for the last person, just 3 seconds before the midnight hour, would pull off this Rube Goldberg device, a front flip with his 74-year-old mother, lands on the skateboard and flips forward, landing on his feet for an extra touch, and would say, "I bet you do that." And to that last guy, Santa Claus says the following: "Congratulations, and here is your reward," and would give him the money in a Christmas box behind his tree. Not bad, not bad. Now, for those who didn't believe me that it was Santa who was behind this challenge, yeah, I didn't come up with that. The other challenge I had was going to involve you trying to make your way to New York City dressed up like Pee Wee Herman. That's not my challenge. Another person, and to the other guy, where you going to get all the rubber bands? Staples, Best Buy, whatever store you can think of that has home office supplies, you can get that from there. Hopefully it'll help you out. And yeah, for shame for me blaming Santa, like I said before, it was Santa. It was Santa who did it, not me. And I guess with that blaming out of the way, folks, we now go inside of this silver envelope for a very special edition of the $961,000 question, where it reads as follows. One sec, folks. All right, and it says, would you, for the money amount we just listed, do a shot-for-shot remake of the big fight between Bison and Guile from the 1994 film of Street Fighter? And bonus money if you're able to wear the same outfit that they wore during that said film and on the same island. Good luck with that one. But before you answer that question at home, you're gonna have to wait another 2 weeks there, you real-life Street Fighters, because Carl and the Maestro is currently rolling out the machines, which means we've got to bring the Indy Radio Arcade for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss any of this Alpha Anniversary goodness we were able to give you, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr pages, still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag Indy Radio Arcade Level 214. And according to Carl and the Maestro, since they're feeling generous with this Alpha Anniversary, and so is the Pinball Wizard, they're tacking on a bonus $214,000 to the challenge. So if you're able to pull it off, you might be a millionaire. Nice. And if you guys want to figure out what the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this year of the Fizz, like something that is as cool as getting $1 million from doing something crazy from an anniversary show, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as TWO Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, and seriously, guys, from the bottom of my heart, you, the game show contestants out there, for listening in to a very special year kickoff 8-bit alpha status edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. And seriously, guys, 9 years of this show, 9 years of absolute video game and music and everything else we put into this show, silliness that you guys have been tuning into for the past 9 years. I can't say thank you enough, because out of all the ideas we've had, and Carl and the Maestro said it the best, this one would have to be the silliest. And that's funny, coming from the Indie Radio Arcade, or should I say from Under the Radar, that we've been doing for well over 10 years now. But this one being my silliest, I'll take full credit for it. And seriously, for those who've been tuning in, thank you, and I can't wait to show you what we got planned for this year. And here's to one more year, making it a Delta decade. You know what? I like the ring of that. You know, that's, if we make it to 10 years, that's what we're going to call it. That's exactly what we're going to call it. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys. And here's hoping your music gets featured during this very show of absolute insanity, according to Carl and the Maestro. And speaking of Carl and the Maestro and providing music of absolute insanity, we would like to thank them for the following songs they were able to deliver. Not only the Gaming in Space intro that was featured for the Indie Radio Arcade for this anniversary, but of course for the sound you're listening to right now, none other than the Alpha Wave that is currently being featured during the outro as we speak for this week's edition of the Indie Radio Arcade. Like always, guys, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And a couple of more people we would like to thank along the way, folks, outside of SoundCloud, Live 365, and especially none other than Your City Radio, giving us the inspiration for this show to be in existence in the first place, because we wouldn't have the gumption to actually create this if it hadn't have been for the whole thing that happened around Christmas break. Yeah, this show would have never existed if it hadn't have been for that, so thank you guys. And also, we would like to thank everybody else, friends, family, and whoever else we couldn't possibly name in some giant Academy Award-winning list for this show being possible, and for us to continue to chase our dreams, whether they be 8-bit or crystal clear. And finally, last but certainly not least, and most importantly of all, because it's in the name of the show, we would like to thank you, the gamers out there, you indie gamers out there, for delivering all those sweet, sweet video game hits, clips, and high scores that we were able to mention for the past 9 years. Seriously, guys, keep them coming. You got a home here for them, and we can't wait to just mention them all on high display for many more years to come. And you never know what show might be lurking around the corner next, so yeah, like always, guys, keep them coming. And hint, 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 hint. And I guess with everybody thanked, and with the creepy janitor wiping a tear from his eye and putting on a Guile outfit similar to mine, I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, the Year of the Fish just kicking off, and my 9-year-old bouncing baby boy who is now playing Knockout Kings 2000 against the creepy janitor as we speak, saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we would like to thank you for playing a very special month-starting, year-starting, Alpha Anniversary 8-bit edition of... And step back for this one, because this one's going to be a big one for the anniversary. The Indie Radio! Oh! game over. Happy New Year and good night, everybody.
Game over.